Right, we've got one started, and then we've got another started. Let's see if we can get the third one started. So there we go. So I've literally just finished the social media challenge, and the challenge was, let's see how you can leverage content. So I've got Instagram here, I've got my fan page here, and I've got my profile page here. So we've got 3 lives running at the same time, which is extremely bizarre. Welcome. I've got one there, I've got one there, and I've got 4 here, which is great. And I've got a call. Oh, we'll resume that one. Hello, James. Pete, Emma, Stuart, Stevie Clark, hello, nice to see you. We've got Al Sharpie and James Ramsey. Hello, 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 hello. And Andy Sales. Oh, criticism is coming from Mr. Andrew. So, what was I saying? We work in, so office environments are changing as well. It's no longer the 9 to 5. You're not getting people that are working at 8 in the morning till 5:30 and 6 at night. That's becoming a bit of a rarity. I think employers are becoming more modern day. They're becoming more flexible with the working hours, and that kind of translates into the remote working. So office space and ways of working are changing. As I said, we've got remote working, home working, we've got hot desking, and you've got flexible hours. Now, if you take that situation into COVID-19 and what's going to happen post-COVID-19, I want to talk a little bit about, and please feel free to put your comments in any of the Stevie Bizzle, Jenny Dyer, nice to see you, Mary, Andy Robinson, nice to see you, sir, how are you? Constructive criticism from Andy Preston. I don't even think you know what that means in your vocabulary, but let's have a go, shall we? Let's have a go. I wanted to talk about what is the positives that companies or businesses in general and business owners can take from the current scenario. What is the opportunity when it comes to the situation with social distancing and moving into a more modern day working environment? So a couple of things that people need to look for when maybe they're looking to reduce their office size. If more and more people are going to be working from home or working remotely and using tools like social media, using tools like Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Hangout, or Google Meet, I think it's called now, any other meeting facilities, Cisco type facility, web facility, meeting facility online, then it means that there's some positives. Of course there's some positives. There's less cars on the road, so environmentally, fantastic. There's less travel time between meetings, so less traffic in general, and hopefully that turns people into having more productive days. I wouldn't necessarily say people are going to want to do more meetings in the day, but at least it gives them more planning time, for example, and hopefully the productivity increases. But from a business perspective, what do they benefit from when the office size is reduced? Well, quite simply, they can reduce the rents. I mean, that's an obvious one, but you've got to take some considerations into account here. So for anyone that is thinking of downsizing because they need to save the money with the current circumstance, they have let their staff work from home, or for whatever reason they want to just work from home as an SME entrepreneur, let's start to look at your leases. Start to look at your lease and look at the exit clauses. You may have a notification period. You may have a condition in which you have to actually reinstate if you've done any construction work, or if you've got any furniture that's in there. There may be a reinstatement clause that the landlord is more than entitled to action, if you're going to terminate that lease early. So have a look at the exit clauses, have a look at the reinstatement, and of course there will most likely be a rental penalty. It could be a month, it could be 3 months, it could actually be the end of, or the remaining tenure of your rental period. James Townsend will know more about that. James, please feel free to give us your own comments on this particular subject. So if it's possible, then see if you can exit. Have a look at it, speak, communicate. One of the biggest problems in the world is people just don't pick up the phone and communicate. Call the landlord. explain the situation. You might even find that you want to downsize to a smaller office within their building. Or if you're in a business centre, downsize to a smaller office within their establishment, and that will then obviously give you the reduction in cash flow that you were looking for. Mr. Swan, nice to see you. How are you? Loss of deposit could be another one. So there could be rental penalties. If you've got a rent check, a security check, then they may, you've got to be careful with how you do this. Write them a letter, be very, very formal, make sure it's audited, signed, stamped, and do it, as I say, do it correctly. A letter to the landlord. If you can't leave, if they're not willing to give you any leeway at all, if they're not willing to give you any reduction in your rent, or if they're not willing to let you leave or finish the lease, at least ask them for a reduction in the rent or a payment holiday. That could be another option, is to have a payment holiday that's available. Yes, they'll probably tag it on to the end of your rent. Now this could be residential, it could be commercial, but I'm referring specifically to the commercial aspect. I have absolutely no idea where to look right now, so I'm looking in the centre, and hopefully that's okay for everyone. For those that have just joined, I've got 3 lives running simultaneously, so I'm going to focus on the centre one. So you guys that are getting this particular view, you're okay. So exit clauses, reinstatement clauses, rent penalties, loss of your deposit if it's a check, send a letter to the landlord, pick up the phone, have a conversation with them. What can they say? No? At least you've tried. If you don't ask, you don't get it. Hello, DL Bootroom, how are you? And Mr. Richard Roebuck. I'm coming on to you in a second, actually, from Mr. Gresham. Nice to see you, hope you're well. When's the factory reopening? I've got orders for you, man. Anyway, so what's the positives of this? If you do manage to get to a situation where the landlord is happy to give you some kind of result that you've requested, what's the positives? Well, obviously there's less utility costs that you're going to be not spending, less rent as well, less people on the road. If they're working from home, as we mentioned, there's less people that are having to actually travel to the office or travel to meetings. I think the staff are probably going to be more relaxed. You don't want them too relaxed. You don't want them sitting with the telly on in the background and the music. Maybe the music is okay, but you've got to remain productive. And I think that obviously aims more towards how are you going to manage them? How are you going to manage them? What's their KPIs? What's their roles and responsibilities? Giving them 10 tasks a day and making sure they're finishing those 10 tasks is as productive as maybe you can expect within they're in that environment. But it enhances the staff wellness also. You might have to play a part in that when it comes to the ergonomics. You might have to to invest in your staff, which is part of the section that I'll come on to. So less rent, less utility costs, maintains the social distancing, which is obviously important from the government criterias. Less people on the roads, better for the environment, staff are more relaxed, and increases their wellness, which is what we're looking for as business owners. Now, what's the actions if you're an employer? Well, I would act on it now. I wouldn't wait for it. I wouldn't see where this COVID is going or what's going to happen, because we all know it could prolong, and most likely will prolong for a number of months and potentially years. And are certain policies and procedures and HSE regulations going to change? 100%, definitely. Whether it be in locations such as my uncle Keith. Hello, how are you? Hope you're still there. Keith's from an oil and gas background, so HSE is going to become even more stringent from that perspective. Office facilities, again, social distancing is going to contribute to the HSE regulations that are there. Close the office if you can. If you don't need an office, if you are a business owner and an entrepreneur and you can work remotely and you don't need an office, try and close it. There's no need to have the office and have that additional expense. But if some people can't work from coffee shops, some people don't have the mentality or the concentration levels. Gresham are fully operational. That is amazing news. Good stuff. I will talk to you this afternoon, sir, because we are launching a new e-commerce platform with ergonomic products, and I've seen your ergonomic products on Instagram, so let's get some of those out to Qatar so that we can help those business owners that I am working with at the moment, which is great. Okay, what else can we do? Consider relocating, which is obviously another option, relocating to smaller space. I interviewed Stefan Lindbergh Jones, very good friend of mine, known him for about 12 years actually, since I got here. And Stefan said on my podcast and openly admitted that he went to the landlord. He said, listen, I need to downsize. I don't require this office space. My team are working from home. I don't have any major business that's coming in at the moment. So therefore, why would I need 370 square meters of office space? Why would I need to spend nearly £8,000, $10,000, 35,000 reals per month on office rent when I'm not using it? So he's managed to exit. He's gone to a local business centre and he's now got a PO box. Perfect. That's all that is necessary for the business requirement at the moment. He is in an environment in which he is a production company. So utilizing the technologies, he doesn't require the office at this moment in time. He might need his photo studio back at some point, but all the editing and the production can be done remotely. If you're leaving your office, this is quite important. In a reinstatement, jumping backwards a little bit here, but in a reinstatement, landlords technically are only entitled to the fixed assets. So any walls, glass, gypsum walls, glass, the ceilings that you have put in, the carpets, anything that you physically can't pick up and walk out the door with as a fixed asset, the landlord will retain. And that is what you can use as a bargaining chip when you go to the landlord and say, I've got 3 months of my rent left. I want to exit early. Yes, I'll pay a 1 month penalty, but you get all of my fit out that I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on, so you can retain that, and that makes it easier for them to accept your resignation. You can't take the fixed assets with you anyway, and it's easier for them to release or repurpose that office as and when COVID or the circumstances allow them to do that. So act now, don't wait. Take the loose assets such as the furniture, the pictures, obviously all of your IT equipment. That can still be put onto various online selling channels, buy it, sell it, swap it, and Qatar Classifieds and various things like this. So you can at least retain some of the asset value, and of course you can put that back on your books as selling company assets. Close the office if you can, or consider relocating to a smaller space is also a very good option. And Rich has just sent me an email. Thanks, Richard. Just got it popped up there. Please see new workplace protection screens brochure. Thank you very much, Richard. That's exactly what we're going to be pushing out in the next 10 to 14 days. And we want to work with yourselves and work with HumanScale, obviously from an ergonomics product perspective. So let's work together and get this e-commerce platform up and running. It's only taken us 5 years, but less people are going to be going down Salwa Road and going out and about to buy these products. So let's make sure that we get the logistics and the shipping right, and I'm sure we'll be able to help many people in a circumstance. Right, last but not least, if you are a manager, director, company owner, partner, CEO, such as myself, and you have staff, it is your responsibility, if these individuals are working from home and you've given them the courtesy to work from home, it's your responsibility to invest in your staff. And this is part of the reason why we're going to be launching this e-commerce platform, which is for loose items, which is for monitor arms, which is what I'm using, for tripods. You're looking at sit-stand workstations, task lighting, various elements of ergonomic nature, protection screens, as Richard has just mentioned, in which it's going to assist with an HSE, social distancing, and obviously from a productivity perspective. Ergonomics, back problems, chronic back pain, it's such a big problem and causes huge issues when it comes to absenteeism and, as I said, productivity. Now, if people are going to be working from home, don't go sitting at a dining table, don't go sitting on a dining chair. At the very least, get some spinal curvature cushions that's going to protect you, and stand up and walk about. Let's do the basics so that the productivity remains. But investing in your staff, there are 5 elements. Seating, very, very important, okay? I'm sitting on the Freedom headrest. We've got Freedom Liberties. We have my son's chair, the Oscar, from Gresham, which is an amazing mesh chair in various colours. You can literally design it like a football kit. It's that good. It's fantastic. So there are amazing chairs out in the market that are well priced, good investments that I would thoroughly recommend that you invest in as a business owner, or invest for yourself, or invest in it for your staff. They will be productive. You're saving money on rent. You're saving money on car travel. Potentially look at, I don't know, don't reduce allowances, but consider where you're saving money and efficiency and reinvest it. Reinvest it in your people, and I promise you'll get it in bags of return. Sit-stand desks, very important that they're going to be spending more time at home. You need to get them up, you need to get them active. They're not going to be having this situation where they're maybe leaving the house or leaving their office space and moving around as often. Therefore, you need to get them even more active. And a sit-stand float table or rise tables are very, very important to look at from our manufacturers, or of course local manufacturers and suppliers to yourself. A lot of people, I've no idea what the percentage is, but I'm pretty sure it's high. Less and less people are using desktop computers. They're obviously using MacBooks and Mac Airs, and I use a Surface Pro, they're using laptops or tablets. So let's look at a laptop stand. I would thoroughly recommend you use a separate mouse, a separate keyboard, and a separate monitor, so that you can actually put it on a monitor arm, or you can put it on a laptop stand, and it increases the height of the monitor to a certain eye level. Laptops are problematic because it encourages you to lean forward and to dip your head. Now, bearing in mind your head is like a bowling ball. If you've only got two bones in your neck, or two primary bones in your neck, which is the atlas and the axis, and if you've got a bowling ball that's got all of that gravitational pressure and you're leaning forward, it's going to hurt you. Eventually it's going to cause a problem. So let's start to sort of sit back on the chair. Let's get some flexibility. Buy a couple of additional pieces. A wireless mouse and a wireless keyboard is going to cost you no more than $25, $30 for something decent. Monitor arms could be about $150 to $200, again, for something that's flexible as you require. So seating, sit-stand desks, laptop stands, obviously the separation screens. This is probably for the more corporate environments. This is for areas that are, just get rid of that screen. 1 second. Go away, yeah. Corporate environments where people can't get away from the fact that they need to be in the office. So social distancing and separation screens, as Richard has mentioned, very, very important to get them up and running. And last but not least, task lighting. It's funny because task lighting is it is an ergonomic product, don't get me wrong. Not many people know why you need them. I'm in an environment, it's daytime, the lighting's not too bad. I could probably switch off the lighting and it'd be ambient enough for me. I've obviously got it on for the purposes of the videos, but task lighting is actually, I find myself working different hours. If you're in a flexible environment, if you're working at different times of day, afternoon, evening, in the winter it's getting dark at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the UK, certainly in Aberdeen and the north of the UK, even more so sort of Canada, etc. People are still working till 7, 8 o'clock at night, so therefore the lighting is quite important. So don't dismiss task lighting as something that does need to be considered. There's many, many options. Human Scale have got a few options. I think Richard's got a couple in his arsenal as well. But jump on Amazon, have a look at some of these task lights that are going to help you. Again, certainly when you're working on laptops, let's not strain the eyes. Let's not create even more fatigue. Our eyes and bodies are going to become more and more fatigued with the more video calls, the more social media we interact in. We're using smaller devices, we're using laptops, we're not moving around as much. So invest in yourself. Invest in those products that's going to make you more productive. Invest in training is probably an off-tangent message, I would say. Don't sit idle. Get out of your comfort zone. Hello, I'm doing 3 lives and I've never done this before. Not as scary as I thought it was going to be. I've run out 20 minutes and I'm really, really thankful for people that have jumped on. Richard, thanks very much for your comments. James, I think you stayed there for most of the session. I've had some great people that I haven't heard from or seen in a while. So thanks very much for sticking with it. And of course, for those of you that are not on the live and are watching this, post some comments. Let us know what your thoughts are on the modern day office environment. How is it going to change? How is it going to evolve? Is it going to be the new norm? Are we going to have not one person for every 10 square meters or 12 square meters, but one for 20 square meters of usable space? How's it going to change? I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Thanks very much for joining us. I will be clicking off in 3, 2, 1. Thanks for your time.